This is Building a Creative Life. I'm Pam Vale, a New England artist, bringing the world of creativity to your door through casual conversations with artists, creators, and everyday people, helping curious, midlife women begin their next creative chapter. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Today I'm bringing you a fascinating conversation with certified aromatherapist and natural health educator Jessica Wiehle. Jessica's journey into the world of essential oils started with a personal need and blossomed into a career that blends science, creativity, and wellness. We dive into how scent impacts our nervous system, why essential oils can support creativity and emotional health, and how being intentional with what we inhale can actually shift how we live and show up in the world. This episode is packed with insights and some powerful truths about living well and creatively in midlife and beyond. Be sure to stay tuned till the end, where I'll share a few reflections and real-life takeaways you can start using right now. Well, hello, Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pam.
I'm glad you're here. Obviously, I know you and I know what you do. And I have some questions that I want to ask you and things I want to talk about that I think that our listeners and our watchers will find very helpful and interesting. But I would love it if you could start us off by telling us a little bit about what you do and how you kind of came into this.
Sure. So I guess my technical title is certified aromatherapist. What that means is that I'm formally trained in the use of essential oil, which is aroma extracted from plants for therapeutic purposes. But because of the unique ways that I utilize aromatherapy, I've kind of gained a lot of different nicknames, like scent scientist, human scratch and sniff. Maybe that's a good sign that I smell good. And modern medicine woman, because essential oils are they come from plants and they're highly medicinal and therapeutic. And so the way that I utilize them and implement them into the world, businesses and individuals, is very unique and I think timely. So some of the ways I do that, I work with senior living facilities. It's a primary passion of mine, helping senior citizens navigate the later years of their life. I don't like to use the word old, but later years of their life more naturally, because if we don't help them, they end up on 10, 15, sometimes 20 different medications, when something as simple as having a lavender bottle near them can truly help with something like anxiety or sleep, for example. Mm-hmm. So we partner with senior living facilities. My company, AromaWell, partners with senior living facilities, hospices, and related industry to bring the aromatherapy to them on an enterprise level. So implementing it into their business strategies to elevate them and to help them provide more natural, holistic, better care to those they serve. So that's one way we use aromatherapy in a creative way to help large amounts of people versus me just, selling the oil to you, Pam.
Right.
Which we do. We have that on our website, but again, trying to reach more people. So one other creative way that we do that is also through utilizing it in businesses, workplaces, and marketing. So scent is so powerful. Mm-hmm. The way aromatherapy works is when I smell this bottle of oil, put this little bottle up to my nose, our nose is a gateway to our brain. And everything we smell gets in our body via this little channel into our brain. And what happens when good things get into our body that way, like essential oil that are very naturally chemically active, is different parts of the brain start firing off, different neurons, different chemicals. So in essence, what we're doing is neuroscience. And I am really adamant that the public know aromatherapy isn't just woo-woo, and it's not just spa feel good. it's actually very powerful neuroscience. Yes. So two ways, those are just two big ways I think that we utilize it. Scent can, influence the workplace. It can help people focus better. It can help people connect to brands and so on.
And why, like, how did you get into this? Where did you start with this?
Oh, yeah. So, well, how far back shall I go? Let me sum this up in just like a quick little segment.
Okay.
The truth is, I got into it through the loss of my mother. My mother passed away. I was 19, she was 48. And so I saw her suffer for most of my teenage years, go on different chemotherapies, radiation, and going through a lot of pain and suffering. And I grew up there for just in that environment, feeling like kind of hopeless and not knowing how to help. Back then it was all traditional medicine, and it has its place, but there wasn't anything to help us feel better. And so I remember being on hospice, this cold, sterile room. And back then they didn't have really much at all to truly support families. The nurses were great, but the environment just wasn't. And so that, I think, planted the seed of, for one, grief at a young age and the things that kind of came along with that, planted the seed for me. One, we only have one life to live, so we have to live our best life and follow our passions. And two, we need to be happy. We need to find ways to feel good and take care of ourselves. And so by the time I was in my early 20s, I was already very passionate about natural health. And my first essential oil came to me through a friend. I ended up pregnant shortly after my mom passed away, and I was basically a single young mom. And so I had my son when I was just before my 21st birthday, and I was very stressed out because I had no mother and no idea what I was doing. And my friend gave me an essential oil and said, "Hey, try this, smell this, put it in your bath, see how it makes you feel." And it was like instant. I put a couple drops in my bath. I created my own little spa. I probably shouldn't have done that at 6 months pregnant. Now I know, we got to be careful, right? But fortunately, nothing happened. And well, something happened. I felt better. And so ultimately, within a couple of years, my father knew I was starting to get into more holistic, natural thinking. And he had found a book my mother was reading when she was sick. You see, because towards the end of her life, my parents were starting to consider alternative therapy because nothing was working for her. She had been on 7 different rounds of chemotherapy. And so she was reading books on natural herbs and medicine. And he gave me one of these books. And as I paged through it, I could see her highlights in there of different herbs and plants that had been known for centuries to help with cancer and the immune system. And, unfortunately for her, she never got a chance to try those things. But fortunately for me, that was it. I knew from that point forward that I was going to be working with plants.
Wow.
And there we are.
That's amazing. And I know you touched a little bit on like safety or how to use things properly. And when you talk about essential oils and like authentic ones that are the right ones, how would somebody know what's right and what's not right, or what's, not safe, or how to use them?
This is such a good question. Such a good question. Because I think sometimes we assume when something's natural that automatically equates to safe. First and foremost, not true. This tiny little bottle, just 1 or 2 drops is all you need, right? So it's important to work with companies that have established credibility, that are out there educating, that so not to just go to the internet and get your information, because you'll see two ends of the spectrum. Oh, you can't use this for that. And oh my gosh, this is going to make you sick, which isn't true. All the way over to, oh, just put 20 drops of this in your water every day and you're going to heal everything, right? And so finding a quality company, how do you do that? It takes time. I do not advocate for going to Amazon, Target, Walmart, any of these places, not even Sprouts or the grocery store, to get your essential oil, because on Amazon, you're going to find mostly poor quality and actually what we call adulterated oils. And that means they're not even pure. They have chemicals in them. They're fragrance compounds, artificial fragrance, which is incredibly toxic. And so not only will it not do anything therapeutic for you, but it might actually make you feel worse. To a grocery store like Sprouts that may have some essential oils, but they're mass produced and they're not produced necessarily at the quality I would consider as clinically therapeutic.
Okay.
So I used to say, and I probably should still say this, but know your oil lady, right? Like you need to know your oil lady, like me. But as we grow, that becomes less relevant, and it's more about just teaching people.
Yep.
What should be on a label? You should always have the scientific name of the plant. The ingredients should have nothing listed but pure essential oils.
Okay.
And I can't tell you how many times I have walked into a senior living facility and they're like, hey, yes, we're doing some aromatherapy. And they're so excited to show me. And I turn or look at the bottles, and it's probably a $5 bottle of lavender. It says pure essential oil. It's clearly from Amazon. I turn the bottle around. I always take pictures. And there's chemicals listed on the ingredients list, meaning chemicals that shouldn't be in there. So first and foremost, no Amazon, no Walmart, none of that. Let's just get that off the table automatically.
Yeah.
If it's too inexpensive, it's probably too good to be true, because good essential oil does come with a cost. That being said, there's some great companies out there like Young Living and doTERRA that have quality oil. I do believe they have quality oil, but they're much more expensive because of their business model. So it doesn't have to be through the roof expensive, but if it's dirt cheap, gotta go.
Probably not.
It should always be in a glass bottle.
Okay.
And when you smell it, you should feel it. So AromaWell prides ourselves on the 3 Ps: pure, potent, and powerful, meaning it hits you, right? And it smells natural. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that people don't realize that. They see certain buzzwords or might not know the cost, like what it should cost, and they see something that's inexpensive and not realizing, what would possibly be in it, or that it could be harmful. Yeah.
Greenwashing is a big problem because, right now, scent marketing is like $1 billion industry. And you could walk into a hotel and it smells amazing. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Some of those artificial things do smell good. They make me sick, but some of them smell good. And they call it aromatherapy when it's nothing but pure synthetic harmful fragrance. So then in walks this clean fragrance, which isn't clean. It's just cleaner than that stuff. And it's being marketed as natural, or they'll mix essential oils in with chemicals so that they can put it on the packaging. So it really is, I understand, a challenge for the consumer. And that's why we don't even play ball with those people. I call our program aromatic marketing. Okay. We don't call it scent. So I'm really trying to drive that, messaging home that it's, if it's not 100% essential oil, we don't want to smell it.
Okay. And it sort of reframes it too. I think that there are two things I would love to chat with you about. That one, I think people don't realize that you can have a creative profession like what you're doing, right? And the other part is I'd love for you to chat a little bit about how people can use this for themselves, like how certain scents can enhance creativity or maybe reduce stress, so that the byproduct of that is that they feel more creative or more open channels to creativity.
Absolutely. Okay. First question was about the profession.
Yeah, about how you can actually make this your profession.
Right. So, what's interesting is that I didn't walk into it instantly like I'm going to be an aromatherapist, right? I actually started with creating my own natural products and selling at farmers markets. I was in a career of law. I was on my way to law school. I was a senior level paralegal and very good at what I did. So you can see I've actually got two sides of the brain here. I've got a very analytical, strategic, um, I guess, technical brain, because I was writing legal briefs and pleadings and analyzing lots of data. Um, and I learned a lot about business that way too, actually. So I had that already figured out. And I thought, well, if these people are doing businesses and running businesses, I could do it too. And took a hard right and decided I wasn't going to law school and I was going to go down this natural health and wellness path. So um, I didn't know there was a profession either. But what I found is that I need my products to smell good naturally. So I just started playing with essential oil that way and learning like, oh, I have orange, I have lavender. They smell good separately. What happens when we put them together, right? And then uh, that the thing is our sense of smell is so closely tied to all these different things going on in our brain. It started to spark new ideas just by the very act of playing with the oil. So what happened was, though, is I started to, because of my research brain, learn, oh, there's all these medicinal benefits. So I started researching and reading books and digging and digging. And one of the guys' books that I read, he is a German chemist with an extensive amount of knowledge on the chemistry and the medicinal use of essential oil. And he, in one of his books, talks even about French medical aromatherapy, which is a whole practice in France um, where you can actually get a prescription for essential oils from your doctor.
Wow.
And have it covered by insurance. So, for example, if you go to the doctor and they practice aromatic medicine and you've got tummy troubles, they might prescribe you ginger, and you would go down to La Pharmacie and get your ginger oil and a whole protocol. So that just, I was like, that's wild. I had, and here we are with all these things in the U.S. We have no idea what's going on in all these other parts of the world because it's not just France, by the way. And so I discovered there was certification for this. He had a program actually, and this was back when there were like no programs, and at least not to my knowledge, very few. There was herbalism. You could go get a degree in herbalism or whatever, but a certification like this, I didn't know existed until I started reading some books and just digging around. And so I took his program. It was more chemistry heavy because of his German chemist background, but I really resonated with his messaging about how powerful the stuff was, and there I was. So that was just first step, though. A lot of what comes when you're working with something so creative, as I know you could probably relate, is your learning comes through experiences. It's like, oh, what happens when I do this? It comes through play, right? And just truly enjoying your craft. So I knew it was my purpose, and I started to just test things on people and test the way things smelled. And so yeah, now there's programs, there's national programs, there's international programs. I'm part of the AIA, which is the Alliance of International Aromatherapists. So it's a thing, right? There's thousands and thousands of research articles out there on PubMed, which is the national website where all published research goes. So if they're studying a new medication or anything that they're studying goes through PubMed. Thousands upon thousands of studies on essential oils and aromatherapy.
Okay.
And even dating back into like the early 1900s and such. So yeah.
Wow. And if someone was interested in maybe like having a hobby of this,
Yes.
where would you point them, or what would you suggest they do? Because I know you do a
Sure.
lot of like mixing and like learning about the history of things, right?
So I actually teach clinical aromatherapy
Oh.
101. So because we're in Arizona and we have a lot of elderly people, and
Mm-hmm.
so for their parents, for their loved ones, or if they're a caregiver, or if they're in hospice, or if they're in senior living, memory care, this class part in particular, because this is my passion, is geared around certifying people under our program to be aroma well practitioners.
Okay.
That doesn't make you a certified aromatherapist. It just means that you've gained enough knowledge to be able to safely use aromatherapy with vulnerable population, like the elderly. But I've I hold blending classes,
Okay.
workshops here locally, but there's also tons of fun information in books. I encourage people to read books on aromatherapy over just going to the internet and like plugging in a search, because there's a lot of great people out there that have written some wonderful books, and I'd be happy to give you some of those lists or a list of like books that
Yeah.
were inspiring to me. Yes, and so as a hobbyist, I encourage people to get 3 oils and just start working with them. Start, because like that's like the best way to learn how to blend
Mm-hmm.
is a 3-part blend. So 3 distinct things that you enjoy the way they smell. Start playing them with in different concentrations and seeing what you like, and create your own therapeutic, what I call therapeutic perfume.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we do that probably like every 3 months. I'll have a class where we have blending. We teach to blend, and everybody gets to leave with their own roll-on,
Okay.
little roll-on that they can put on their skin. Yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I'll also put all of your contact information in the show notes for everybody so that they can contact you or reach out if they have questions, or, if you ever do other online courses or things like that, or if they're in Arizona, they can come see you.
Absolutely. And I have to add, it is so fun. I just did one the other day, what we call a blending bar, where we show up and we have like it's not a full educational session, but where we have, maybe 20 oils that we've curated out, and we're working just with the sense of smell and helping people create a blend. But then earlier this year, I did plant potions. And this is where we actually went through the medicinal property of 12 different essential oils. And then my students got to each make their own therapeutic perfume. And once we get people smelling and engaging, their whole everything just lights up. It's
And
so
it's so
cool.
personal, right? I mean, I think scent is just so personal. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you learn a lot about people too as you see what they like and what springs up and what they don't like. It's fun.
exactly. Exactly. Sometimes that's the easier one to find out.
I,
Oh,
I have studied the oils for so long
yep.
that I have studied them from their, traditional scientific use, their ancient use, their use according to different modalities like Chinese medicine and
Mm-hmm.
so on, all the way down to their psychological
Okay.
and personality. So like when someone has a response to a certain oil or aroma, it tells me, and I don't want to say I'm psycho at analyzing them because I'm
Right.
not, but it does tell me a little bit about
It
them.
gives you insight, definitely. Are there
Yes,
certain
absolutely.
oils that stimulate creativity specifically, since that's usually what I talk about?
Yes, there's a lot that stimulate creativity. So I actually have a blend called Create Well. I don't know
Oh,
if you can
okay.
see that.
Yep.
So we actually have a collection which has been curated and formulated, clinically formulated, because that's what I call it. What that means is that we hold together oils based on their clinical value, in addition to their ancient, intuitive, artistic, all the different layers I just told you
Mm-hmm.
about. So when I'm blending, I'm pulling in all those different spokes of the wheel. And so Create Well happens to be a blend exactly for that. I have one called Work Well that helps with executive function, organizing, and motivation. I have one called Think Well that's just primarily memory and cognition, and so on. So with Create Well, I can tell you there's a few great oils in here for creativity. Coriander, which people are like, oh, I cook with that.
Yeah.
Well, it is very much one that stimulates passion and energizes you and gets you like really like in your work and in your more creative side of your brain. Bay laurel, which is an ancient plant that the Romans used to use to like enhance their intuition and tap into that part of the brain. You can even see them like wearing it around their heads, like those
Oh, the
little
laurel
props.
wreaths. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
absolutely. That's right. That wasn't just for looks. In fact, it was more to do with the power of the plant. And I think we look back on that and think, oh, they were kind of weird and woo woo. No, they weren't. They were doctors and scientists
Yeah.
of the first forms of medicine, really like documented medicine. I mean, where they started codifying it in books. And so Bay Laurel is definitely one that opens up your insight, and even in some of the spiritual benefits gives you a lot of like forethought or intuition and even psychic abilities. And so there's others in here. Ginger, jasmine. Jasmine is very much a nootropic, like very cerebral, and so beautiful. And so like, just makes me feel so good. So just to give you a few, so fennel's in here. Fennel's really good for communication. So bringing the ideas out. And so when I say communication, I don't just mean orally. That could be through your paintbrush. That could be through your writing. And then, there's a few others in there as well. So this one, I actually was just with a team of people yesterday for a workplace wellness type of project that we're working on. And they had all got diffusers, and they're in more of a creative space. And this one just like knocked them over. They were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But any oil that you love, like say you just love orange. Orange stimulates dopamine. It stimulates serotonin. Anything that just makes you feel good can be your creativity oil, because it's about the connection that you make with the oil and how it makes you feel. If it gets you in the zone, good.
What about for things like travel or anxiety, things like that, where maybe it's something that they don't need all the time, but maybe they're an anxious traveler? Are there things that you offer for that?
Yes, and actually for travel, what's nice is, or one of the things people think of is, oh, well, I'm on the plane, or whatever. What am I? I can't just spray something or bring something stinky out, or not stinky, but So I love these sticks. We sell these sticks, and in fact, so what this is like a Vicks inhaler, right? And you can open it up and just take it with you. Aromatherapy on the go. In fact, these are a big hit, and we even brand them for other companies. But that's what I recommend for travel. We have a little kit you can buy online that has like 4 or 5 of them in there for sleep, for anxiety. Lavender is a good go-to if you don't know what's going to make you feel better. Lavender is what we would consider a panacea. But then there's also peppermint, for example, really good for nausea and just clearing out, like if you're feeling, claustrophobic on the plane, or, having trouble taking a deep breath or something like that, that's related to anxiety as well. Peppermint can really clear that all out. It's really good for headaches, migraines, that sort of thing. So these sticks are great for that. We also have personal refillable ones that are a big hit.
I have one of those of yours.
You do?
I do. I got it before I left Arizona. You gave it to me. I was sick and I had a cold, and I got it from you then, and I still have it.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you put the little wick in there, and cool. I love that.
Yeah. It was really, really
good,
helpful.
Good. I'm glad it helped you, Pam. That's awesome.
It did.
We miss you here in Arizona.
I miss Arizona.
We've got oils for everything. And for stress, sleep is a big thing. We have a whole sleep program with different devices that you can put in your bedroom, not just traditional diffusers that you add oil to water, but actually automated machines that you can program, set up to just go off every night so you don't have to think about it. We find that's really helpful in senior living facilities and for people that are trying to help their parents, get set up on a more natural, healthy sleep cycle, that are still living at home or somewhat independent. Yeah. There's great results we get from diffusing every night, because when we get into a deep, natural state of sleep and allow the aromatherapy to do all that work for us all night while we sleep, working on our brain, working on our rest and digest and our parasympathetic nervous system, all of that, we see improved mood, better cognition. And there's even a study that came out 2 years ago now that found a 228% increase in memory and cognition
Wow.
in older adults when they diffuse nightly.
Earlier, when you talked about getting started in this and you talked about making your own products and scenting them naturally. If someone wanted to get into something like that as a hobby, how would they know what is safe and what isn't safe? And, as a hobbyist, they might not know where to look for information.
Yes. So the dilution, like you always want to think about diluting the essential oil, not using it obviously directly on the skin. And so I always say 1 drop to 1 teaspoon of anything. So whether it's coconut oil and you're just making a body oil, or you want to add it to a pre-existing lotion that you bought at the store, or a sugar scrub is a big one that people love to make. 1 drop to 1 teaspoon is 1%. Okay, so super easy. That's not an exact science, but it's enough for it to just be safe. 1-to-1 ratio, 1 drop to 1 teaspoon.
Okay.
Now, we can go up to 4% on the skin safely on the body, and we can go up to 10% in a perfume. Some do even stronger. But I always say to stay on the lower end. First, test your skin, give it 24 hours, see before you go crazy with it, right? Like we don't want to just be smearing it all over our body. And, that doesn't happen very often, but it could if you're sensitive. And one of the reasons we want to do that is because overusing essential oils can produce sensitivities to essential oils. And how sad would it be if you weren't able to enjoy them anymore because you overdid it? So 1 drop to 1 teaspoon of anything is carrier wise is 1%, and never go over 4% on
That's
a body
perfect.
product.
Yep.
Or 2% on the face.
Okay.
And then what I would also leave you with there is there are some oils that should never be on this. We should just not be playing with. I love cinnamon, but it's pretty sensitizing to the skin.
Mm.
So if you're going to use something like that, just tiny little bits.
Okay.
Again, there's some great bath and body product books out there that was like where I started, and I'd be happy to, send you some of those if you want to add those in your show notes.
That would be
Because
great.
there are some with great recipes for like scrubs and hair products. And I mean, to be honest with you, that's what I've been doing now for, gosh, almost 20 years. And I haven't looked back, and my skin seems to be doing okay.
Definitely. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you would like to add?
Um, hmm, I don't know. I just like to emphasize the use of the aromatherapy, like you said, brought up with creativity, um, that you'd be amazed at what can happen if you have a creative. So we have another blend called Speak Well. So similar to Create Well, it's good for um, enhancing your communication, public speaking, preparing for speaking, sales. So I have a lot of women in sales that use it, and they'll feel blocked because sales is hard. Like if you got to be on all the time and just walk up in there and be happy, even if you're just like not feeling it, in
Mm-hmm.
order to try to drive those sales in, right? And what this blend does is it really helps you, for one, lower your anxiety levels and calm down your nervous system when you're not feeling it. And then at the same time, jazz you up and improve your articulation and your verbal fluency and your ability to remember what you want, and like kind of think on your feet real quickly like that. And so I would say don't underestimate the power of aromatherapy, because it really does work and does amazing things.
Awesome. Well, this has been fascinating. I love hearing all the history and your, deep love and knowledge of this topic. And I appreciate you coming on. And I will put all the information in the show notes. And if you send me the book recommendations, I will share that. And I just glad that we got to connect again.
Me too. Me too. I would love to catch up and hear more about what you're doing, Pam, and all the
Definitely.
things.
Definitely. Well, have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Wow, Jessica's story and her deep knowledge about the power of scent really got me thinking. We often talk about creativity as something we do with our hands or our ideas, but sometimes it's the subtle things, like scent, that create the conditions for creativity. A clear head, a calm nervous system, a sense of connection to the moment. Aromatherapy isn't just about pretty smells, it's about intentional support for our bodies, our emotions, and even our creative energy. And hearing Jessica talk about the science behind it all reminded me that small choices can have a big impact on how we feel, focus, and function. It's a beautiful form of self-expression and self-care. And I also loved what she said about knowing your oil lady, because yes, quality matters. But so does having a guide who gets it. Someone who sees scent not just as a trend, but as a tool for healing and living more fully. So here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. You don't need a cabinet full of oils to start. 3 quality ones can be enough. Creativity doesn't thrive in stress, so give your nervous system some love and attention. And maybe most importantly, you're absolutely allowed to use tools that support you. If this episode sparked your curiosity, go follow Jessica and learn more from her. She's a breath of fresh air and deeply passionate about what she does. And if you're feeling like you need a shift in your creative life, maybe this is the invitation to explore something new. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for free and share it with a friend. It helps others find the show and grows our community. Remember, creativity is yours to define, there are no rules, and it's never too late. Until next time.